Hey, John, nice office.
I pull me up a chair in Chris's office.
I'm going to play the intro here in just a minute.
All right.
You look good in my seat, John said. Well,
What's up, man? Yeah,
I like
figured
it.
I figured I'd steal a seat.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now you
I
get to
like it.
you get to see what it looks like when you're sitting in your office.
Yeah,
Shoot.
that's a good spot to be in.
I'm just sitting here right now, just going over all my stuff for tomorrow's test,
There you
so
go.
I can make sure I get a good score.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line.
Now you get to see what it looks like when you're sitting in your office. Oh, we got feedback.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute it.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here right now, just going over all my stuff for tomorrow's test,
There you go.
so I make sure I get a good score.
There's a lot on the line.
We got feedback. I'm just sitting here right now, just going over all my stuff for tomorrow's test, so I make sure I get
Well, good evening and welcome to Thursday Night Saws. How are y'all doing? Hey,
doing
Chris,
well.
John, how's it
Yes,
going?
sir.
Sound okay? All good?
Yep.
It does.
Excellent. A little bit different format tonight, but I had a great day. I don't know about y'all.
Yes,
It was a
sir.
good day.
Good. I watched uh, an excellent instructor go down through a group at is a tough group to handle too. There was a lot of experience there, and we had a great time. Well, we were in well, I guess the major attraction today was Dry Fork, Virginia, wasn't it?
It's fun.
And we that was the cutting site, but we started off this morning at God's Pit Crew in Danville, Virginia, and we had a great session inside to a little bit after lunch and all. We're up here with the storm sawing workshop that Chris Childs is operating, and we also have about half of the class is our 2023 and 2024 legacy instructors that we had through the program, and so he had a tough audience there, and I chimed in probably a little bit too much today, but it was stuff that we all kind of communicated back and forth, and it went very very well. And so I was well pleased with how today went, and I hope y'all had the same thing.
Yes, sir.
But it is quite interesting. I see here. I learned some things that I didn't know before, and that was that these nice trucks that God's Pit Crew has are not just empty shells. There's a lot of chainsaw equipment and all kinds of uh, food and things that are shipped all over to different food banks and those kinds of things, and some different boxes, I guess you'd call them. They're not
Yep.
they're not they're not buckets anymore. They're kind of nice boxes that go out to families that have experienced different storm situations. And a lot of the class that we had today were people who work in different disaster teams around the country, and so it was quite nice to be able to tour the facilities. They have quite a thing there. So it's something we spent about an hour just walking from one end to one end and side to side to be able to see all of the things that they have. And one thing I didn't know is that they were involved in promoting some of the NASCAR racing and basically involving kids. And Randy with God's Pit Crew has this race car and takes kids for a ride in different areas of the country. And then they've got their own log truck that's filled with the different buckets. And and then you go outside and it's not just one. There's a whole passel of different things there, and you can kind of see on this. See if I can get that one to play.
I believe that.
I don't know what's going to hear on the voices there. Can't never tell. I was just shooting stuff. We were all talking, but yeah, this thing of looking at all of the equipment and the layout that they have there. Like I say, it's just amazing how they've been blessed with a lot of abilities to help people around the country. So it's pretty cool to go and see it and be part of it. So I was quite pleased with how everything came out today, and a great tour. So what did you think of the day, Chris? Are you still there?
Yes, sir. I'm still here. Let me cut my video back on. I enjoyed it. It was cool just to have guys from all over the country that are passionate about what we're passionate about, spend some time with each other. Uh, Good group. They stretched me some, which is always good. And yeah, good
Well,
day.
tell everybody what we talked about. In other words, what did you present today?
Today we basically went through, uh, started the day off kind of talking about what an accident is, and then really went into in depth with PPE. Then we started talking about RDT, about keeping our saws running like they need to be and sharpened and all that fun stuff. Showed them a couple different options with sharpening the saws. keeping the air filters clean, and what I do every day when I check all of my safety features and all of those things. And came back in the classroom and looked at the plan, what the plan actually is, from finding your landing zone, your leans, your escape route, what your notch is going to look like, how you're going to do your back cut, and just the felling plan as a whole, your escape route. That was a lot of fun, and we went out and actually did it. So I put one tree on the ground, got prepped for some competitions. We got kind of a sweetened pot for the competitions this trip. It's going to be fun to see how all that lays out. But yeah, it was good.
When we started Game of Logging and all, Soren used to say that the competition increases the retention. In other words, it's something that everybody's a little bit competitive. So in our training programs, we apply points to different things that are important, and so we have some different prizes and things that we award to the highest scorers, and so it makes it a little bit challenging. Those that have a lot of experience, it kind of evens out the playing field sometimes, and then sometimes they do pretty well with it, because of their experiences according to the topics. But tomorrow we've got some tree felling we're going to be doing, and then also some things like spring poles and bore cuts and those kinds of things that's going to tie into the techniques, and the planning process is really the key that Chris told us about today. So what do you think, John Tidwell? You're from Mississippi.
Man, yeah, from
We
Mississippi.
didn't expect you to be too excited because Mississippi is so exciting, but
Oh man, anytime I get around chainsaws and training, it's one of those things that excites me. Yeah, I thought it was a great class this morning. Enjoyed hearing from Chris. I actually, if I trace back my getting into trees and really beginning to learn how to fell a tree, cut out of a bucket or lift, Chris was probably pivotal in my training. And so to be able to see him, continue to do what he loves and become a trainer, and just kind of seeing him again today, because it's probably been 2 or 3 years. No, probably 3 years since. Yeah. And just excited to see that, and definitely looking forward to putting some trees on the ground and and practicing what we're learning. It's always cool, Tim. I went through your class 3 or 4 years ago, and it's cool to go through somebody's class, but it's also cool to sit through another instructor and to see how they're going to present and how they're going to word things, and bring their experience in on what they've learned over the years. So I just thought it was a great day. I think everybody seemed genuinely excited about it, and everybody's definitely looking to do that competition tomorrow. I'm sitting here right now making notes still, just like hazards, leans, escape, hinge, back cut. Like, got to get it down so we can get that prize.
I put together a little video, put out a couple days ago, and has some comments back today. And what I did is I set that video up, as a lot of people do, instead of slowing down and really thinking about your learning process, your training process. And I had from the class we had with David Breeden a couple weeks ago, and then I put stuff over it like, why is he doing that? What's he doing that for? That's stupid, and all this kind of stuff, because that's what I hear a lot. That's what I see on a lot of comments and things like that back on YouTube and Facebook. And then the second half, I changed it. That was David talking with me, adding some things as far as key points. And the guys were writing, today that, oh, yeah, talking over him like that, let him talk, all this kind of stuff. And I said, I don't think you watched the second half, did you? No, I didn't watch the second half. And I see all the time where people watch a 1-minute video and only watch half of it, and either click off or do something. Training takes time, doesn't it? What we're working with here is going over stuff which we've covered in meetings before, but we're taking and we're looking at the process over 3 days of what it takes to, first of all, read it or watch it or listen to it, and then have to practice it. And I made some comments on that video that that you know, people talk about, well, I don't wear hard hats, or I don't wear chaps, or whatever. And you know, you really don't know until you experienced it, do you? And so when you got people that are throwing stuff at you, and there's all kind of noise going around, and you're out there trying to show another employee or a friend or whatever, or a big boom baby, you know, off of YouTube or whatever it might be, if you're not paying attention and they can't explain what they're doing and how they do it, that's not training, and you're not really learning something. And I'll say it 1,000 times: if you're getting information from people by watching that can't explain how and why they do something, it's very dangerous. And when you don't go down through the details of something and let people know you're going to do it this way and why you're going to do it, and then go back and look and see what the results are, you know, that's where it really starts to add in. That's where experience comes from. That's how we learn experience, is by planning first and doing, and then repetition. The more we do it, the faster it gets, the better it gets, and you still maintain the safety. And so that's the key. And what you guys do of working around disasters, you know, when the tornadoes and stuff go in there, it's much tougher than just going in and removing a tree with equipment, and you know, felling trees in a logging situation. These are things that if you don't plan every step that you take, you're going to end up getting hurt, and people around you also, because you got so many people in the area, you know, pulling brush and doing different things. It takes a lot of planning and a lot of coordination. And when just going through that warehouse today, I mean, if you just think about all the time that's spent trying to figure out how many items go in this box, where they located, you know, how do you get it in there? How do you get it back out of there? It's the same situation as if you walk up to that tree. If you don't have a good plan, you know, you can end up with a situation you don't know where you are or what you're doing real quick. And so we talked about, you know, some of the different things. It was just simple planning processes. Ed Holdren, what did you think about that? What did you tell us about where you're from? You're from another world.
Well, originally from California, so yeah, that's kind of like another
That's what I
planet. But
said. Yeah.
I'm recovering. I'm a recovering Californian, I guess. Yeah, we were. I do the disaster stuff too, as you know. But we were talking today, and my mind always goes back to getting guys to slow down, take your time, walk through every step. The people, the volunteers and staff we work with on any number of fields, but especially can be dangerous when you're cutting trees after a disaster. That always, like, there's a quota, right? We got to get all these logs cut. We're not going to the mill with anything. We just want to clean up this lady's yard. So to rein people back and to have them slow down and learn and be careful and watch what's going on. It was way easier growing up training horses to pull a wagon than it is having a firefighter slow down and take his time. So that's something that I like to see when we're in the field, is talk through every step. And if it doesn't sound right, or if somebody says, well, I'm not sure I have that, I'm not sure I'm clear, well, then we'll explain it again. We don't have a quota to reach. So that's the part I like, is learning myself to slow down and figuring out ways to have others slow down so the learning can take place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's something to where a lot of people don't realize that you can sometimes slow down to work faster. You know, if you walk up to that tree or that log and you get stuck in it, or something doesn't go right, then basically, you know, you've lost a lot more than if you would have taken a couple seconds to put together a plan and execute that plan. And the more times you do that, the more times you plan and execute it, the faster it gets, isn't it? And still maintain the safety. Looks like we got Warren Causey, and is that Keith Willingham? Hadn't seen him in a while. So y'all unmute. What you doing? What'd you think about today? We've been talking and seeing what people think, and I will say this too: if you're watching tonight, you know, on YouTube, I couldn't here at the hotel. I couldn't open Facebook and YouTube at the same time, so I sent a message over to Facebook and said, y'all join us on YouTube. But if you've got questions, if you're out there and you're watching, if you've got questions to you know, send them in or chat them in here, and these guys might be able to answer them. So you have questions about training or disaster cleanup or volunteering for something like that, these guys can probably give you a good answer on that. So, Keith,
Yes,
tell
sir.
them what you've been doing.
I just,
What do you think about today?
I was just watching Chris Childs dazzle the crowds.
Dazzled. I heard that.
No, I thought it was great going through all the steps and harmonizing our approaches and talking about the planning process and going back through each module and trying to think about each component of each module and how you're going to talk about that, how are you going to present it, and it's great to have both legacy partners as well as the couple of folks who are new to the cutting scene to some degree, and hear those different experiences and the perspectives. I think it's great.
Mhm. And Warren, what did you pick out of today? What was the number one thing that you got out of today?
I think when I think about today, I kind of think of like iron sharpens iron, and I feel like a lot of these guys I've known for a while, even though this is the first time we've met in person, through the legacy program, just emailing back and forth and stuff like that. Just getting to share experiences, talk with one another, and just bounce ideas, and just kind of develop an in-person relationship as it relates to cutting. I think is my favorite part so far. Getting to see each other's personalities, and also just bounce ideas off of each other. I think it's priceless. So
Mm.
it's one big takeaway so far on this workshop.
Yeah, and those of you who don't know, Warren, he's given his background a little bit here on a couple of Thursday night saws. He joins us about every week, and we appreciate that. He's kind of when I rode up here with him, he's kind of a professional storm chaser too, and so he's into video and tornadoes and that kind of stuff while they're happening, and then helping people clean up afterwards. So he's got a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah,
But
lots
all
of
these guys are involved in the cleanup process, and I know Keith's been doing it for about 100 years, and Chris now for about 10 or so, and
yeah.
it's amazing the dedication that you guys have, and then there's Miles too. What'd you think about today, Miles?
Uh, I enjoyed meeting everybody and just getting out there and doing some training. Nothing new today for me, but it was good to meet everybody and just go over some of the basics, like are trying to sight the tree and see where it was going to land, and just kind of little friendly competition there. But
It's not going to be friendly tomorrow.
no, it's all for the big pot tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, we got the major competition going on tomorrow. And, as I was telling him earlier, that was kind of what Soren started with the game of logging, and we had it in Arbor Master also is taking and applying points to things that are important, and it's just taking the planning process and kind of just making up something as far as points or little competitions to do, little challenges to do. And Soren always used to say that the competition really gets the results. It's something that people focus in on, and it's like I was showing the picture of the race car and stuff. Everybody's kind of competitive. Whether you're running a NASCAR track or you're running a chainsaw. It's about the same thing. Well, not quite, but it's it's something to where it's a challenge that we focus on. It's not competing against the others, although tomorrow you will be, but it's really competing with yourself, because if you know what the challenge is, then you can plan to meet it, can't you? And I think that's a real factor when it comes to experience in the field operating chainsaws, whether logging or tree care or disaster cleanup, is that to challenge yourself and have that plan so that you can productively do the task, but then you don't get hurt. And that's really the main emphasis is nobody gets injured. And so And I saw today that everybody was with different levels of experience out there were basically agreeing on a lot of the same things, of PPE and leans and forward and back and side to side and you know what kind of saw and how you sharpen and all that kind of stuff that you got to deal with when you're operating chainsaws and doing the task. So who's gonna win tomorrow? Who's the number one contender out there?
Points at me. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say I don't
I'll
jinx
get
myself.
Pedro going.
He's got a glow about him, you know.
Oh, do we disqualify the instructor?
I don't know. You know, one of the gyms might come out and just knock it out of the park.
That
I
is,
got my money on Jim from Richmond. When he went through it in Richmond about 6 months ago, he was good, and he's been sitting at home and watching YouTube videos and practicing. So, yeah, we might want to put our money on the new guy.
Yeah, that sounds good. Before we start fighting, I want to say that I told my wife it was so nice today that so many different personalities, different jobs, different backgrounds, but everybody was working together to make sure that we clearly got the message across. So I wanted to throw that in there while we're still all friends before the competition starts.
I completely just mess up tomorrow. You know, I wouldn't want to mess up in front of any other group of guys. You know, so this is a really great group of guys. A lot of constructive comments and a lot of support too. You know, I think the industry can really benefit from this type of fellowship. So.
I think the key thing to think about tomorrow, whatever happens, whether it goes right or wrong, or high points or low points, that you can explain why.
Yeah.
Isn't that's really the trick? Is that if a tree doesn't go exactly right, or you hit that rock, why did you do it? Why did it happen that way? And I think that's the real sign of experience, is when somebody, an incident happens, not necessarily an accident of an injury, but something didn't go exactly as planned, which is an accident. But if it doesn't go right, you should be able to explain exactly why. It's not a thing of boasting, the wind blew it or what else. Always what I used to say is the wind took it. That's the quickest way to get out of the situation. But it's to be able to explain it, and that's a sign I think a sign of a professional. If you got somebody that's teaching you something, any kind of subject or class, if you find that what they're saying kind of rings a bell in your head, that it's true and could work, then that's something worth turning into experience, isn't it? That's experience that you gained. So that's been kind of the promo of the week with me is thinking about what is experience and how do we gain it, and in working with a group like today, that's good experience all the way around. I picked up stuff from every comment that was made, and I really didn't have anything I didn't agree with, and technically it was all very sound. So do we all do everything perfect? Did I forget something? Did I do this? Yeah, I mean that's going to happen. But and that's what's nice about, you never want to be out there cutting by yourself. You want to have other people with you. If everybody plans the same way, you pretty much should have the same results, shouldn't you? You ever really thought about that? I mean, if you got somebody beside you that doesn't plan the same way you do, then it's going to become, well, my experience is better than yours, or this happened because you didn't do this or did do this or whatever. But if both of you plan the same way, it should be a pretty good communication, shouldn't it? And so
Yeah, and then if you plan the same way, one guy might catch that the other guy didn't do step 4.
uh-huh.
When you're tired, when it's long and hot, and et cetera, et cetera, I'd be on step 4 and I miss it. And Warren said, "Hey, Now, don't get mad like you always do and throw rocks, but I noticed that you skipped step 4, and I just don't want you to kill yourself. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, it's always the same. Then everybody there knows that, oh, we didn't do number 3. We need to do number 3 before we move on.
Mm-hmm. And you made a comment that you had never seen that relief cut in the bore in the front of the tree, you know, to keep a wedge from splitting it up. And you know, like I said, I talk about it every time, so I know that I said it before. But it's just like you say something or somebody else says something, I may not get all of it to begin with, but the more times that you tell me that, the better it gets. One of the mentors I have, you know, Richard Burchett, he always used to say, and that was on the sale. He was a sales manager with Steel, and then later on with Husqvarna too. And he always used to say, you know, when you tell somebody something, you know, you discuss it and you give them the best interpretation of it, or you know, training of it that you can, and then you know that they got it. So then what you do is you tell them again. And when you think that they got it, then you tell them again. And then when you think that they learned it that time, then you tell them one more time, and maybe even another time, and then pretty soon you know that they have it. And one study I heard years ago, it takes about 15 times through something, and before you really are able to get like 85% of the material. Is that right, Keith? You probably know all those stats.
There's all there's all kinds of ways. It takes 21 days to form a habit.
21 days to form a habit. I
Yeah.
like that one. That's very true. So how many times do you have to do? I got to do it about 50 times in the 21 days to get good at a habit or
Good
something.
habits and bad habits.
And takes even longer to break them.
But yeah, it's interesting to watch and hear the comments today. So very much looking forward to tomorrow. But I hope you know, we're able to do this occasionally in the future, and go through these things and share information. That was one thing that Soren Eriksson always used to say is, you know, in Sweden, in our training and in schools, he said we share information, and over here it becomes something that's you know, kind of personal. I don't want to share it because somebody else will know something, you know, that I can't you know, grow from, or make money off of, or whatever it might be. And Soren was always, you know, the more that you share what you know, really the less work you have to do around other people, because that workload spreads. Because if they know what you know, then there's not, you know, banging heads and fighting about stuff. It's everything starts to flow. Like I said, if you plan the same way as the next person beside you, then pretty much you're going to agree on what you're doing. But if you don't have that process to start with, then it doesn't come through that way. There's always an argument about, well, they don't know what they're doing, you know, they got more experience, or I got more experience, or whatever. It's just back and forth and back and forth. And I think our training arms have got to that point in a lot of cases. And so we hopefully can change that when it comes to chainsaws by spreading planning processes instead of looking for tricks, you know. That's the key. Good plans and good practices. But what do you think would be the best competition tomorrow? What do you think would be the most challenging? Information on the tree, bore cut through a stump, spring pole?
For me, it's going to be those little trees. I know you said there's some bigger trees there, but I think I would like to do a smaller diameter tree, because I don't ever cut smaller diameter trees that are standing straight up. You know, a limb on a big oak that's 20 inches around, that's a pretty big tree, but it's not standing straight up. So to challenge myself, I'm kind of looking forward to those what did you call them, pines? I don't know that I've ever seen any of those before over in Missouri.
Virginia pine, yeah.
And they have all this honey that's dripping out of them after you cut them. But I brought some back here, and they don't go good on biscuits. So you guys will have to talk me through that pine a little more than I did today. that's something I'm looking forward to, challenging myself on making that lodge pole fall down the right way.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of people talk about this tree or that tree. The big ones to me are sometimes less challenging than the small ones. And if you look at the statistics, it's over logging over the years is 8-inch diameter wood pieces that cause most of the struck bys and fatalities. You know, and it's something that you don't really think about. The West Coast always kind of think about, well, if you don't have any experience, you probably need to stay, less than 5 inches diameter or something. Been in some of the training programs, but really those 5 inchers are the ones that cause most of the struck bys and head injuries and those kind of things. Whether it was a widowmaker coming out or whether a small tree went the wrong way or was brushed and flipped over into the work area. It wasn't the big stuff. In most cases, even today, I think talking to a lot of people who over the past few months have been injured with different tree situations, it wasn't a big tree that landed on them. It was a limb off of that, or a smaller tree that might have been uprooted when the big tree fell, or it was just standing there and it spun out and came into the work area. Dead snag that snapped off as the other tree hit the ground or passed it. So those are all things. And in cleanup operation, a lot with city, county, and state, a lot of what I hear is somebody standing there waiting to. And you mentioned if you've got a limb that's 10 inches, 12 inches round, and it's 20 foot tall, that's like felling a tree. Well, in those situations, cleaning up storms, a lot of times you got somebody standing there ready to catch it, to drag it to the chipper or off to the side of the road. And if it goes the wrong way, how do you get out of the way? So work area is pretty critical there, but it's still controlling those kinds of things also. But I'm kind of preaching to the choir because you guys know all that stuff, so it's kind of neat. But there's a lot of people out there that listen and watch on YouTube and Facebook and things that have never really ever experienced a planning process.
I was going to ask, do you think just like competition causes people to focus, cutting bigger trees makes you focus a little more? Where the reason I compare that with if somebody's cutting a 6-inch round or an 8-inch round and said, "Oh, this little thing," and don't really stay serious about it, every cut every time can injure you. And my thinking is, when somebody's doing a 40-inch round oak in a backyard, they're really looking and planning versus this little 8-inch thing. We'll just back cut this and push it over, will be no problem, and it turns into a big problem.
Yeah, I think that's right. A lot of times we get complacent with the small stuff, don't we? That's like one of the competitions we're gonna have tomorrow is the spring pole. And in storm cleanup, that's one of the major factors. I don't know how many people, over the years that I've had come to classes, yeah, that thing's what got me, it busted my nose or broke my shin or came back in my face, knocked my helmet off my head, all these different things. And it's just a little bitty 3/4 inch spring pole that was bent over. And a lot of people don't realize how dangerous they can be. And so sometimes we get complacent with the little bitty stuff like that, and we think about the big trees. I hear that all the time on comments back. I'll cut some big trees. That little bitty thing ain't going. You can't do nothing with that. I don't can't. And it's just back and forth like that. And it's crazy because like I say, most of the statistics are the little stuff. It's what gets most people. So it's important to have a plan on the little stuff, probably more important than on the big stuff. Many cases. And as I said today, I hear all the time, well, we don't fell trees. We just cut stuff up after storms or it's down or like city and county cleaning a road or whatever after a wreck or a storm has come through, and those things that stand into that vertical limb is just as dangerous. But the other thing is that it takes a planning process more on that stuff than it does on felling a tree. There's more potential to get stuck and slowed down or have something go the wrong way and hit you or come to side pressures and up and downs. It's important to have that plan for sure. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all all dropping in tonight. I don't really see any questions. We'll get some after we get this thing posted, probably the next couple of days. Everybody watches that. Had about 6,000 views over the past 28 days, it said today. So there's different people that watch things. But I'm hoping one day that we get participation like this where you guys can get on the panel and be able to answer questions, and it becomes a real teaching and training for new operators as well as experienced. And, that's what I challenge is experienced operators. You could share your information on here too. So Thursday nights are a great time to do that, and if you get on there with us. So, and that's I'd like to see. So Chris, give us the last word. Give us the challenge for tomorrow. We're going to start off doing what inside again? We're going to start talking about horizontal stuff and stuff tomorrow.
Yeah, limbing and bucking. I think tomorrow is just let the information sink in. Oftentimes, like we just talked about, that people think, oh, the tree's laying down, that's easy. That's where I see people get hurt the most. In the disaster relief world, a lot of the trees that we're working on are laying down, they're dangerous and they'll hurt you. So going through that same process, that same planning process with a down tree is just as important, if not more important, than a tree that's standing. Is look at your hazards. I mean, we have power lines, fences wrapped up in trees, and how am I going to get out of here if this thing rolls? Jim talked about they had a fatality where he worked because of a roll. Simple planning processes with that. If the guy would have just been on the other side of the tree, but thinking through all that, and then when we start the competition, just take your time. We're not in a race to put the tree on the ground. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be a competitor. The way to be a competitor is go through the steps slowly, think through the plan, and execute the plan. So, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone, and I got my money on Jim.
So what do you think we're going to kind of, when you fell the trees, going to kind of stack them up, make some storm stuff after we finish the trees, then we're going to work on pressures and binds and that stuff?
Yeah. And there, it's a good opportunity. The site that we have, we got trees on both sides, kind of a roadway there getting back. So we can throw them from either side and really cross them up and get some stuff under some pines, probably create some spring poles, maybe some leaners.
So it'll be a good day of experience.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well, gentlemen, y'all get some rest. We'll start off at daylight in the morning. I guess probably not, huh, Chris?
Probably not.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a good evening, and I appreciate y'all dropping in. And we're going to do this next Thursday night. So if you see the videos, and we're going to drop back in and talk about some of these different things of training and different situations that you come about. And we've got some other classes and things coming up. You can send me an email at info@forestapps.com, and I'll keep you abreast of what's going on. And then you can check on YouTube. There's over 700 videos that we got on there about different topics and techniques. So you can check those out. And so appreciate it. And we will see y'all later. See y'all in the morning.
Sleep well.
And hey, good sawing to you.